Welcome to the Mom Room. It is part 2 of reflecting on 2024 and then making plans and goals and all that jazz for 2025. If you notice that my pants are undone, if you're watching on YouTube, it's because I have a sore stomach. And yesterday I had my colonoscopy, which next week on Tuesday, I'm going to do a full health episode, talk about all my ailments, which is like my favorite thing to do. So OBGYN stuff, where I'm at with that, and hormones and the birth control pill. Then I want to talk about digestion, my issues with my stomach. I want to tell you about the colonoscopy and the prep for the colonoscopy. And what else? Is there anything else? Maybe I'll talk a little bit about mental health as well. It'll just be like a big old health episode. So I'm looking forward to recording that because I love talking about these topics. But yeah, yesterday did the colonoscopy, and usually if I have like a really bad IBS, I'm pretty sure I just have IBS, but it's good to be checked, obviously. And they did remove a small polyp, which is it makes me nervous because obviously they send it off for testing and you never know. For the most part, I think the majority of polyps that they take out are benign, but still makes me nervous because colon cancer runs in my family and colon issues. So anyways, every time I have an IBS attack, I get a sore stomach for a couple days afterwards, and the sore stomachs are debilitating. Now I've learned that Gas-X really helps, and also Buscopan, which is like an anti-spasmodic for your stomach. But I've never understood these sore stomachs at all. And that's part of the reason why I went to the gastro in the first place. And because they're high up, that's why she wanted to do the scope into my stomach as well. But anyways, I figured after doing the colonoscopy prep, which is basically like a massive IBS attack because you're literally pooping for 12 hours until it's just liquid coming out. If that's too much for you, are you new here? Okay, this is what we talk about on this show, okay? You can never tell too much information. We're all human, let's just be honest. So I figured I would have this sore stomach for a couple days after the colonoscopy, and I was right. I could feel it coming on this morning as I was getting Milo ready for school. And then I took 2 Gas-X, and it alleviated the pain so I could have a functional day. And now I felt it coming back, so I just took 2 more Gas-X, and I can't take any more Gas-X for the rest of the day because I think my husband said you can take 4 in a day. So, anywho, all's that to say, I was just answering the question of if you ever notice during this episode that my pants are undone, that is why. I don't want any tightness on my belly ever, actually. Okay, so where did I leave off? The last question I answered was what did you learn about yourself over the past year? And then there are 4 questions left. And if you didn't listen to the first episode, go listen to it. It's Tuesday's episode 463. I explain at the beginning of that episode that I listened to an episode of the Mel Robbins podcast, and she was talking about answering these 7 questions for yourself before you start to make plans and goals and all that hoopla for 2025. And I listened to that episode and I really took it seriously and came home and thought about the questions. And I wanted to share them with you guys because she shared her answers on her podcast and it really made me think. And I was like, I'm going to answer them too. So question number 4 was, what are you going to stop doing in the coming year? And I had to think about this, and it's so true. We always, when it's a new year ahead or we're ready to make changes, it's always what are we going to do? It's less about what are we going to stop doing? So I really liked this question because I really had to think about it. What do I do that is not valuable, that is maybe hurting me, that is not good for me, that I want to change? And so one thing I thought about is that I am constantly taking in stimulation, whether it be information on my phone, reading information. I love Pinterest. I said that in the last episode. I love just going on Pinterest and scrolling. It's like a never-ending magazine. It's just new things popping up constantly. And I love it. And it curates it for you. Like it notices what you enjoy and then you get jelly cats every 2 seconds, you know? So constantly taking in stimulation. If you have a moment like not picking up my phone and scrolling, also driving. It's like I always need to have a podcast blasting into my ears. Even if I'm like, oh, I'm going to go for a nice walk around the neighborhood, I have a podcast blasting into my ears where I'm like super focused on what somebody is saying. I rarely listen to music because it's maybe not stimulating enough. Like sometimes I'll put on Taylor Swift or Shawn Mendes, but I'm not one to like ever play the radio or just have passive music on in the background because I am constantly wanting stimulation in like I have to be reading something, looking at something and paying attention. I have to be listening. Did I already say that? Anyways, it's like, when do you ever just not have your brain focusing on something else? And when are you thinking your own thoughts? Like, when do I have time to just sit and think about my own life or what I want to do or think about like things I want to talk about on the podcast or something that happened and like, oh, that was crazy. I wish I would have handled it this way. Like, never am I thinking my own thoughts. And then I started to wonder if so many people live this way where it's like constantly we're taking in information and not just letting ourselves think. But then we try and go to bed at night and our minds are racing, probably because our brain is like, holy shit, like there's nothing coming in right now. Let's go crazy and think about all the things that we haven't been able to think about. So I want to stop constantly taking in information every minute of every day and pause every once in a while and just like sit there and stare at the wall if I want to. Or sometimes if I drive Milo to school, maybe on the way home, I'm not playing anything and I'm just thinking about what I'm going to do that day or plans for the week. When you're constantly consuming information, it's like you're just like piling things on and nothing ever gets like resolved. Nothing ever like, I don't know. I think about like a backpack and you're just like constantly stuffing it with stuff instead of, you know, taking things out and looking at what you need. Honestly, my closet is a perfect visual representation of what my brain probably looks like. You know, you just shove things in, close the door. Shove things in, close the door. Like, as opposed to going through and being like, what do I really need? Like, what could I donate? How could I organize these thoughts properly? So not taking in stimulation constantly. And part of that is scrolling Pinterest. And one of the things I wanted to say about Pinterest, which my Pinterest boards also represent my closet in that I just shove pins or save pins on all these boards. Do I ever go back on the boards and actually look at what I pinned? No. I'll like see the most amazing advice on like how to organize your closet, let's say. I save it in a folder and then I never look at it again. So one of my plans or one of the things I would like to do is go through my Pinterest boards and actually look at what I have saved over the years, delete things that no longer apply to me or that I don't like anymore, and actually take notes or think through some of the pins that are like advice or like how to do this or strategy for whatever it might be. Oh my God, my sinuses. Okay. Trying to do all the things when it comes to health. I got into this last year when I was trying to do all the hormone stuff naturally. A lot of stuff does help. Yes, it does. But it can become very overwhelming. And what happens to me is like, I'm an all or nothing person. It's like, okay, starting tomorrow, I am going to be perfect. And I am going to do all the things. And like all the supplements, all the like appointments, if you think about all the things that can help us and make us feel better, like whether it comes to working out, eating properly, appointments like massage, acupuncture, supplements that you take in the morning, supplements that you take in the evening, things like humidifiers and like filling those and cleaning them and keeping those up, air purifiers, literally all the things, dry brushing your skin, like gua sha on your face. Like there's so many things that I want to do and that I enjoy doing, but it's overwhelming and it's literally a full-time job. And I want you to remember that when you see influencers or content creators who their job, like their niche on the internet is health. And so them doing all of these things is their job. You know, they put up a camera, they film it, like that is their job. And so it becomes a lot easier for them to incorporate all of those things into their life when that is their job. For me, that's not my job. It's like taking time out of my day to do these things. And so I need to, in 2025, figure out what of those things are important to me and most beneficial to me, because I cannot do them all, especially regularly. So I know I love massage. Like it would be really nice to book a regular massage. I know I love having a bath with Epsom salts. No more essential oils in the tub because I'm allergic. But anyways, love a bath. So making time for that. Just like slowly learning what actually gives me the most bang for my buck, if that makes sense. Is that like a lame saying to say? I just set up my humidifier today. So pumped about that. Every morning I wake up, especially in the winter, because we have the heat on in the house. Like I noticed a drastic change in my sinuses as soon as we started using the heat in the house. I wake up with like bloody nose every morning. So I need a damn humidifier. So picking and choosing and figuring out what the things are that I want to do and want to do regularly that make me feel the best. Like for sure, working out, going for walks, my humidifier. I want to get an air purifier because my sinuses are like a huge issue for me, sneezing and constantly blowing my nose. And I think the humidifier and the air purifier in my bedroom will be like a huge bonus for me and will help me. Another thing that I'm going to stop doing in the coming year, hiding my feelings and not talking about things. I obviously share a ton on social media, on the podcast, especially when it comes to like health stuff. Like if I'm like, I will talk about poop and boogers and periods like till the end of time. That doesn't bother me. And it's funny because some people are so shy about those topics, but I am more shy and not open about just like difficult things that I'm experiencing. And I know that it really helps me when I see other people online sharing like these very real situations that they're going through that a lot of people can relate to. And it's one of those things where you're making people feel less alone. And at the same time, hearing the feedback from people makes you feel not alone in those situations. And so in 2025, I just want to start paying more attention to trying to, or not paying more attention, but like trying to reflect on things that I'm going through in real life and how I want to talk about them online, if that makes sense. Share more about, just like the intricacies of turning 40, how that makes me feel, being kind of like an older mom and having a child that like, it's crazy. My mom had her 3 kids when she was in her 20s. And so she's pretty young and we're like, I'm 40. Do you know what I'm saying? But like Milo is not going to have that experience. And anyways, like there's so many things that are just a little bit deeper that I could touch on that I want to put more content like that out into the world and just see what you guys have to say about that. So working on that. Question number 5. What are you going to start doing next year? Okay. And these kind of like blend into the things that I want to stop doing. So what are you going to start doing in 2025? Taking time to think, whether it be intentional, like, okay, Renee, sit down for 10 minutes, just take a breather, think about what's going on. Or if I really want to work on a podcast episode, like for so long, I've just been kind of like pressing record and just like talking about whatever. I want to be more intentional about the topics that I'm talking about and also thinking through those topics before I come on to record, kind of like what I did for this episode. Again, like taking time to think means not constantly taking in stimuli. Like as soon as there's like a lull in the day, don't be like, oh, Jesus Christ, like put on Netflix, like just chill, pet your dog, something like that. Move my body regularly. I've been pretty good at this so far. I joined CrossFit, which I did 10 years ago and was obsessed with. It is such a different vibe from yoga in that it's more like heavy lifting, which is what I need. I need to gain muscle, but I also love hot yoga just for the stretching and the movement and the hour of just focusing on your body and nothing else. Like that's a good example of CrossFit is more like you're not really thinking thoughts, like it's more engaging, like there's people around, there's a trainer, you're switching up activities. It's not as, not calm, but like it's not as, in yoga, you're in the class and you're just listening and following instructions and going through the motions. Whereas CrossFit is more of like a group activity. Like yoga is very, you're on your own, kid. But I need both. I need the slow in your head, only focusing on your own body and doing the movements of yoga. And I love the heat too, like the hot yoga. It has to be hot yoga for me. But then I also love the more like rough and really using your body in ways that you never thought that you could and gaining muscle and being more functionally fit, if that makes sense. Functional fitness is like key. And then also just like throwing on the Fit XR, the virtual reality thing that I have, and doing that every once in a while if I'm just at home and I have no plans of leaving the house. Going for a walk. Love going for a walk. But for some reason, once I start doing work and I work from home, it's like hard to leave the house and I need to get over that mental block. It's a lot easier in the summer to just like throw on running shoes and go outside. But in the winter, it's more of like, okay, let's bundle up. It's still doable. It's not an excuse, and go for a little walk. Like today would be the perfect day. It's sunny. There's like a little bit of a snowfall. It's so pretty, but I have a freaking raging sore stomach. So not today. But yeah, moving my body more regularly. One thing that I want to start doing this year is talking more big picture things with my husband, because we get into a routine, and I'm sure you can relate, where it's just like logistics all the time and you're talking about like this week or today, and it's never like a big picture conversation. So and I think it's like it has to do with a new year, but it also has to do with we're both turning 40. So I want health for us to become a priority. It has not been. And even if my husband is a little bit more hesitant than I am, like, too bad. Like, we're having a conversation. We need to make health a priority and work out together. That's like a really good thing about the CrossFit gym. A struggle with us with working out has always been, I can go during the day, during my work hours, but my husband can't. So it's difficult for us to work out together because the gym here, the Movati that I'm signed up to, does not have childcare, and they used to, but now they don't. So the CrossFit gym has a ton of classes every single day, and they also have a kids area where Milo can sit and hang out and watch. So now that opens up the opportunity for my husband and I to work out together, which is ideal because we're already so busy and don't get to spend a ton of time together. So if we can find a workout class where we're doing it together, that's like bonus. So I want to talk big picture, health, like what do we want to do in 5 years? Like what are some travels that we would like to do? Like where do we see ourselves in 10 years? Like what kind of life do we want to live? When he retires, like what's the plan? Like what are some things we'd like to do? I don't know. Like I find we just don't have those conversations very often. And it's like, why not? Like, why don't we talk more big picture as opposed to like, can you pick up milk on the way home today? Be super vulnerable online and work on quality over quantity at work. This is tough. Like when you're a content creator, you're under this pressure to constantly be putting stuff out. And I've realized that it's better to put out less and have it be higher quality or more well thought out, as opposed to just like pumping things out just to put things out. So that kind of ties in with like giving myself time to think and thinking through content and actually putting intention behind things and actually thinking about like, what do I want to put out into the internet world? So yeah, just giving myself more time to do that and quality over quantity. Like, don't freak out if you can't post every day, you know? Don't freak out if you haven't storied in 12 hours. But for some reason, you just get this like, I don't know if it's because you see what other people are doing. And so you're like, oh man, I have to do something now. It's crazy because you don't even know when they posted it. They could have posted it last week, but it's just showing up on your page. But then it makes you feel like you have to do something. It's like nuts. Talked about this already, but reading nonfiction. I have started reading my nonfiction. I am obsessed. It just makes me feel so good. It makes me feel so accomplished. It makes me think. I love it. Cozy up the house. If you've seen our house on the inside, which you probably do in some of my content, it's literally a white box. Okay. It's like we live in a frat house. There's like a couch, a TV. There's no storage. There's no shelves. There's no pictures on the walls. Like, we need to cozy up this damn house. I want curtains. I want paint and wallpaper and shelves and built-ins. So that is also what I'm slowly working on. We have a contractor coming to do a built-in wall where the TV is. And then we'll mount the TV in the middle of those built-ins, which will give us a ton of storage and shelves. So that's amazing. And then they're also going to build a wall in behind our couch because I cannot stand the open concept of our main floor. It drives me cuckoo bananas. So that'll be nice. And then that wall on the other side is going to be like a massive floor to ceiling closet. So that will totally change the main floor. And then I am also working with a designer on my bedroom at home with Meg, MEAG. And the inspiration for my bedroom is the cloud jellycat. And we're going to make my room just like super cozy and beautiful and aesthetic and make me want to be in my room, you know? Like I want to feel cozy. So cozy up the house. I eventually want to do Milo's room. I want to do the hallway, the laundry room, like all the things. Question number 6. What are you going to continue doing next year? So number 1, podcasting, but putting more effort into podcasting. Number 2, prioritizing hanging out with friends. I feel like I've been pretty good at that. Number 3, travel, but also saying yes to things even when I'm scared. Like I've done lots of things in 2024 that I was shitting my pants about, okay? And I just did them and it was fine. And literally leading up to the things, wanted to quit and just be like, I can't do it. Breakfast television, going on live TV. I was like, I'm running away from home and starting a new life. Like I can't do this. Interviewing Craig and Austin in London, I was going to die, but I did it and it was like amazing. It was totally fine. I don't know what my problem is. I just get so freaking anxious. So saying yes to more things that make me scared and just doing it. And then one thing that I want to continue doing is Disney. And it sounds so silly, but I was not a person that grew up going to Disney. I've only been there once in my life as a child. I think I was like 13. And it wasn't like a big trip. It was like we went there for the day in Magic Kingdom. And never really like thought much about Disney. Obviously, I like the movies. But in February, we got the chance to go to Disneyland with Disney. And that blew my mind. And it even rained most of the time that we were there. And it was still like the most magical, unbelievable thing. And then we just went on the Disney cruise. And I was like, I can't. Okay, I can't. Like, I am obsessed with Disney, and it's both times that we have gone with Milo, it's just been so special, and I want to continue doing that. I want to be one of those families that like does Disney things all the time. And yes, it is expensive, but there are tips and tricks, and there's ways to book and go at times where it's less busy and book ahead for a cruise or whatever it might be. If you listen to the cruise episode, I do talk about some of those things. And I also linked an article that talks about Disney travel on a budget. So yeah, like I just want to continue doing Disney stuff and planning that and kind of making that a priority when we're going to take family trips. The last question, number 7, what can you do today to take the first step in the direction towards making 2025 your best year yet? And so the day that I wrote these notes, I pointed out that I made the notes for this episode. I actually sat and I really thought about my answers to these questions. I went for a walk outside. I planned out my workouts for the rest of the week, like actually wrote it in on a calendar, looked at the schedules of the classes. I planned out some future content, which is lovely because usually I'm just like flying by the seat of my pants. I also totally cleaned my room and rearranged it, which felt amazing. And I have been procrastinating doing that for so long. Next up is my closet. My closet. And I went to go see Wicked with Ariana, so spending time with friends. I also, as you know, got a colonoscopy. That is part of my like taking care of myself, doing all the health checks, making all the appointments. And it's a lot of work. Like I was thinking about that today. Like just today, I spent so much time trying to get a hold of the gastro's office to make my follow-up appointment. I had to book blood work a week before another procedure that I have to have in February, which I'll talk about on the Tuesday episode. So I had to like log in and make that blood work appointment. It's just like lots of stuff, you know? And then I was trying to find a clinic to do skin cancer screening because I'm so fair and I have so many moles. I like to get checked every single year, but since we moved to Guelph, I don't have anyone, like I don't know who to go see. So then I reached out to my family doctor to be like, is there a dermatologist that you would recommend that does like the skin checks? And I'm like, oh my God, like this is a full-time job, just like taking care of your health, literally. And yeah, so that's that. That's my 7. Sorry, guys. That is my 7 questions. Thank you, Mel Robbins, for putting those questions into my head. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for listening. And as I said, on Tuesday, it's going to be a full health episode. I can't wait to get into it. And the following solo will be, who knows? Who knows, guys? But I will sit and I will take time to think and I will plan it out. Okay? So thank you for listening. If you haven't already, please rate, review, subscribe, follow the podcast wherever you are listening, and obviously follow us on Instagram at The Mom Room. Thank you. Bye.